Hi everyone and welcome back to Forge IT. I'm Harsh and today we are diving into a really exciting topic. We're building a multi-agent orchestration solution using Salesforce Agentforce and Lightning Flows. Now, let's quickly look at the business use case. Imagine a customer interacting with our main orchestrator agent to ask about a product's warranty. The orchestrator will instantly call upon a warranty specialist agent to check the status, and if the warranty is expired, the orchestrator then hands things off to an order specialist agent who collects the necessary details and seamlessly places the order for a new product. It's a really powerful workflow, so let's jump right in and build this step by step. Alright, the very first thing we need to do is configure a connected app in Salesforce to handle our authentication. I'll navigate to App Manager, create a new connected app, and enable the Auth settings. Let's select the required scopes for Agentforce, configure our run as user, and hit save. Next, we need to click Manage on our new app. Go to Edit Policies and ensure that the Run as User is also configured correctly under the Client Credentials Flow section. With authentication out of the way, we can build the engine of our solution. We are going to create a new flow, and for this we want to select an auto-launched flow with no trigger, since this will be running in the background and called by our agents. First things first, let's lay the groundwork by defining our core input and output variables. Crucial step here, make sure you check both the available for input and available for output checkboxes for that session ID variable, as we needed to pass data back and forth to keep the conversation going. We'll also need an output variable, so I have created the agent response variable and checked the available for output option. Rest of the variables are for input only. Next, I'm going to add a decision element. Let's name this check session ID. The logic here is simple but important. We need to evaluate whether a conversation is already happening. So we'll check if the session ID variable we just created is null, if it's blank, or if it matches an empty string. I'll set up those conditions right here. If any of these conditions are met, it means we don't have an active session yet, so we'll route it to our default outcome, which we'll rename to not available. So we have two paths. Let's configure the path where the session ID is available first. I'll click and add an action element. In the search bar, look for Send Session Message and select it. Now, we need to map our data. I'm going to assign our flow variables to the respective session ID and tenant ID fields right here. Now, to actually send a message, we need to handle the request body, and Salesforce handles this using Apex defined types. I'll create a new resource, set the type to Apex defined, and search for the Send Session Message Request Apex class. Let's save that. While we're at it, we need a place to catch the successful response from the agent. So, I'll create a second Apex defined variable, point it to the appropriate response class, and call it Send Message Response. We have mapped this to capture the 200 OK response from our action. Before this action runs, though, we need to populate that request body. Let's drop an assignment element right above our action. I'll use this to take the user's input message and assign it to the text message attribute of the request body. Alright, the request part is now set up. Now let's process what the agent says back. The API returns the response as a list of messages, so we can't just grab it directly, we have to loop through it. I'll drag in a loop element and set it to iterate through the response messages collection. Next, I will create an assignment element inside the loop to add each loop item directly into this new collection. To hold this data, I'll quickly make a new Apex-defined variable called inform message collection. Finally, we just need one more loop element. We are going to iterate through that inform message collection we just built. Inside this second loop, we'll use an assignment element to grab the actual text attribute from each inform message and append it to our agent response output variable. This stitches the agent's full reply together, so it's ready to be displayed to the user. And just like that takes care of our entire active session path. You can see how the logic flows from taking the input to returning the agent's reply. Now let us pan over to the canvas and route the not available path for when a session doesn't exist yet. Because the user doesn't have an active conversation going yet, we need to initialize one from scratch. I'll click on Add Action and search for the Start Session action. Let's drop that in. Okay, now we need to tell Salesforce exactly who is talking and to which agent. So I'll map our agent ID and client ID input variables to their respective fields right here. Just like we did in our previous path, this action requires a structured payload to talk to the API. Let's create another new resource again, selecting the Apex defined type A specifically tailored for this start session request body. And of course, we need a net to catch the system's reply when the session is successfully created. Scroll down to the 200 response field in the action setup, click to add a new resource, and let's set up another Apex defined output variable. We'll name this one start session out to keep our naming conventions clean and organized. Now, before this start session action actually fires, we need to prep that payload. I'm going to drag an assignment element right above the action. We'll use this to map our input data and properly configure the session request payload. Okay, let's assume the action fires successfully and the session is started. What's next? We need to capture that brand new session ID the system just generated for us. I'll drop in a second assignment element right after the start session action. Here, we are going to extract the ID from our start session out response variable and store it safely into our custom session ID text variable. This is a critical step because it ensures the rest of the flow and our orchestrator knows we now have an active ongoing session. Right inside this same assignment box, we'll also go ahead and prep the payload for our very next mover, which is finally sending the user's initial prompt. Now that we officially have a session ID, we are basically in the exact same scenario as our first path. From here, we just click the plus icon and add the send session message action. I'm going to breeze through this part since we just did it, but we are following the exact same configuration steps, mapping the newly minted session ID, setting the request payload, and configuring those same loops to process the agent's response. And that completes our core logic. Let's hit save in the top right corner. Before we hook this A2A connector up to our actual specialized agents, we need to make sure it's bulletproof. I'll click Debug up here on the top bar. Let's simulate a quick run without a session ID. And perfect, it's working seamlessly. This single flow is now fully equipped to centralize all of our Agentforce invocations and handle our session management behind the scenes. Now that our foundational connector is ready, it is time to bridge the gap between our logic and our users. We need to create agent-specific flows to handle these interactions. I'll start by creating a new flow from scratch. Instead of rebuilding our logic, I'm going to drop in a subflow element. From the search bar, I'll select the A2A connector we just finished building. This allows us to reuse our existing integration logic while keeping the specific agent's flow clean and manageable. Once the subflow is in place, we need to map our data. This is a critical step for maintaining state across the conversation. I'm going to create a new resource variable specifically for the session ID. When you're setting this up, pay close attention to the checkboxes. Make sure you select both available for input and available for output. This ensures the session ID can flow into the subflow to identify the user and flow back out to keep the session alive in the main agent interface. I'll repeat this process for the output message variable. This is what the agent will actually send back to the user. After mapping these variables, I'll fill in the remaining fields to align with our specific order setup. I've already configured the backend logic for the order specialist agent behind the scenes. So, with our flows configured and our variables mapped, we're going to tie these flows directly to the agents by creating agent actions. I'll set up a flow-based action and select the warranty flow. Let's draft some clear instructions for the agent and check the required input box for all of our inputs. Make sure you map the agent's session context variable to both the input and output session ID fields. This is what guarantees the agent remembers the conversation context. I'll repeat this exact same process for the order specialist agent. Alright, everything is wired up. Let's preview the agent and see it in action. First, I'm going to ask to file a warranty claim on my industrial pump. As you can see, the orchestrator instantly routes this to the warranty agent who asks me for a serial number. Now, let's try throwing it a curveball and type in a fake serial number. Notice how gracefully it handles that. It checks the system and confirms the product doesn't exist. Okay, now I'll provide the correct serial number. Because we passed those session IDs back and forth, the system remembers our conversation history and immediately provides the correct warranty details. Since the warranty is expired, it's offering a replacement. So let's tell it we want to order a new pump. Right on cue, it contacts the order specialist who asks for my details. I'll just type in my name and a quantity of 1. And the agent responds with an order confirmation. Let's jump over to the Salesforce backend to verify. And there it is. A brand new order record has been created perfectly with the exact information we just provided. And that is how you build a multi-agent orchestration solution using Agentforce and Lightning Flows. By keeping your session management centralized, you can create incredibly smart, context-aware handoffs between different specialized agents. If you found this tutorial helpful, please drop a like and don't forget to subscribe to Forge IT. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.